The rain fell in sheets over the small coastal town of Black Hollow, a place where the ocean roared louder than the people who lived there. The town was known for its foggy mornings, its salty air, and its legends of shipwrecks and lost treasures. But no one could have predicted what would wash ashore on that stormy night. Elliot Graves, a reclusive marine biologist in his late 30s, was the first to see it. He had been walking along the beach, his flashlight cutting through the darkness, when he noticed something glinting in the sand. At first, he thought it was just another piece of driftwood or sea glass, but as he approached, he realized it was something far more unusual. It was a ring. But not just any ring. This one was massive, about the size of a bracelet, and made of a metal that seemed to shift colors under the beam of his flashlight. It was etched with intricate symbols that Elliot didn't recognize, glyphs that seemed to pulse faintly, as if alive. He knelt in the wet sand, his heart pounding, and reached out to touch it. The moment his fingers brushed against the metal, a jolt of energy shot through him, and he stumbled back, gasping. "What the hell?" he muttered, staring at the ring as if it might leap at him. Elliot was a man of science, not superstition, but even he couldn't deny that there was something otherworldly about the object. He carefully wrapped it in his jacket and hurried back to his small cottage on the edge of town. Once inside, he placed the ring on his desk and examined it under a magnifying glass. The symbols were unlike anything he had ever seen, neither ancient nor modern, but something entirely alien. As the hours passed, Elliot became increasingly obsessed with the ring. He sketched the symbols, researched ancient languages, and even tried to analyze the metal's composition using his rudimentary lab equipment. But nothing made sense. The metal defied classification, and the symbols seemed to shift and change every time he looked at them. By dawn, Elliot was exhausted but no closer to understanding what he had found. He decided to call his old friend, Dr. Meera Patel, an astrophysicist who had spent years studying extraterrestrial phenomena. If anyone could help him make sense of the ring, it was her. "Meera, it's Elliot," he said when she answered the phone. "I need your help. I've found something strange." Myra's voice was calm but curious. "Strange how?" "I don't know how to explain it," Elliot admitted. "It's a ring, but it's not from here. I mean, I don't think it's from Earth. The symbols on it, they're like nothing I've ever seen. And the metal, it's impossible." There was a pause on the other end of the line. "Send me pictures," Meera said finally. "I'll see what I can find." Elliot did as she asked, snapping photos of the ring from every angle and emailing them to her. Then he sat back and waited, his mind racing with possibilities. Could the ring be proof of extraterrestrial life? Or was it something even more dangerous? He didn't have to wait long for an answer. Within hours, Meera called back, her voice tense. "Elliot, you need to listen to me very carefully. Don't touch that ring again. Don't let anyone else see it. I'm coming to Black Hollow. I'll be there by tonight." "What's going on?" Elliot asked, his stomach churning with unease. "I've seen those symbols before," Meera said. "In classified documents. They're not just alien, they're a warning. That ring, it's not just an artifact. It's a weapon. And if it falls into the wrong hands, it could destroy worlds." Meera Patel arrived in Black Hollow just after sunset, her car kicking up gravel as she pulled into Elliot's driveway. She was a tall, striking woman in her early 40s, with sharp features and a no-nonsense demeanor. Her dark hair was pulled back into a tight bun, and her eyes were hidden behind a pair of sleek glasses. She carried a large duffel bag slung over one shoulder, and her expression was grim as she stepped out of the car. Elliot met her at the door, his face pale and drawn. "Meera, thank God you're here. I've been going out of my mind trying to figure out what this thing is." "Where is it?" Meera asked, cutting straight to the point. "In the study," Elliot said, leading her inside. "I've kept it locked up since you called." Meera followed him to the study, her eyes scanning the room as if expecting an ambush. When Elliot unlocked the drawer and pulled out the ring, she let out a low whistle. "It's even more impressive in person," she murmured, taking a pair of gloves from her bag and slipping them on before picking up the ring. "What do you know about it?" Elliot asked, watching her closely. Mira hesitated, as if weighing how much to tell him. About 10 years ago, a team of researchers discovered a series of ancient cave paintings in a remote part of Siberia. The paintings depicted a war between two alien civilizations, one that nearly destroyed both of them. The symbols in those paintings matched the ones on this ring. Elliot's eyes widened. "So this ring is, what? A relic from that war?" "Not just a relic," Mira said. "A weapon. According to the paintings, this ring is capable of generating a singularity, a black hole, essentially. It was used as a last resort, to annihilate entire planets. But the cost was catastrophic. The civilizations that created it were wiped out, and the ring was lost." Elliot felt a chill run down his spine. "And now it's here. On Earth." Mira nodded. "Which means someone, or something, brought it here. And if they're looking for it, they won't stop until they find it." As if on cue, the lights in the cottage flickered, and a low hum filled the air. Elliot and Mira exchanged a glance, their hearts racing. "What's that?" Elliot whispered. Myra's face was pale. "We need to get out of here. Now." Elliot and Mira barely had time to grab the ring and a few essentials before the hum grew louder, vibrating through the walls of the cottage. They rushed out the back door just as a blinding light filled the sky, illuminating the beach in an eerie glow. Elliot shielded his eyes, his breath catching in his throat as he saw the source of the light, a massive, disc-shaped craft hovering above the water. "Is that a UFO?" he stammered, his voice barely audible over the noise. "Not just any UFO," Mira said, her voice tight with fear. "That's a Zorathian scout ship. They're one of the civilizations from the cave paintings. If they're here, it means they've tracked the ring." Elliot's mind raced. "What do we do?" "We run," Mira said, grabbing his arm and pulling him toward the woods. "And we don't stop until we're far away from here." They sprinted through the trees, the sound of the ship's engines fading behind them. But they didn't get far before they heard the unmistakable sound of footsteps, heavy, deliberate, and closing in fast. Elliot glanced over his shoulder and saw 3 figures emerging from the shadows. They were tall and humanoid, but their skin was a shimmering silver, and their eyes glowed with an unnatural light. "Zorathians," Mira whispered, her voice trembling. "They've found us." Elliot's heart pounded as he and Mira ducked behind a large tree, trying to catch their breath. "What do they want?" he asked, his voice barely a whisper. "The ring," Mira said. "They'll do whatever it takes to get it back." One of the Zorathians raised a hand, and a beam of light shot from its palm, slicing through the trees like a laser. Elliot and Mira dove for cover, the heat of the beam singeing the air around them. "We can't fight them," Elliot said, his voice desperate. "We're outmatched." Myra's eyes narrowed as she reached into her bag and pulled out a small device. "Maybe not," she said, pressing a button on the device. A high-pitched whine filled the air, and the Zorathians froze, their heads snapping toward the sound. "What did you do?" Elliot asked, staring at the device in Myra's hand. "EMP pulse," Mira said. "It won't stop them for long, but it'll buy us some time." The Zorathians began to move again, their movements jerky and uncoordinated. Elliot and Mira took advantage of the distraction, sprinting deeper into the woods. But they knew they couldn't keep running forever. They needed a plan, and fast. Elliot and Mira emerged from the woods on the outskirts of Black Hollow, their clothes torn and their faces streaked with dirt. The town was eerily quiet, the streets deserted as if everyone had fled. But Elliot knew better. The Zorathians had likely already infiltrated the town, searching for the ring. "We need to find somewhere safe," Mira said, her voice low. "Somewhere we can figure out our next move." Elliot nodded, his mind racing. "There's an old bunker on the edge of town. It was built during the Cold War, but it's been abandoned for years. It might be our best bet." They made their way to the bunker, staying in the shadows to avoid detection. The entrance was hidden behind a thicket of bushes, and the door was rusted and creaked as Elliot pushed it open. Inside, the air was damp and musty, but it was secure. Mira set up her equipment on a rickety table, her fingers flying over the keyboard of her laptop. "I'm trying to access satellite imagery," she explained. "If we can track the Zorathians' movements, we might be able to stay one step ahead of them." Elliot watched her work, his mind still reeling from everything that had happened. "Do you really think we can stop them?" he asked. Mira didn't look up from her screen. "We have to try. If they get the ring, it's not just Earth that's in danger. It's the entire galaxy." As the hours passed, Myra's research revealed more about the Zorathians and their history. They were a highly advanced species, but their civilization was built on conquest and destruction. The ring was one of many weapons they had created, but it was by far the most powerful, and the most dangerous. "There's something else," Mira said, her voice tense. The cave paintings mentioned a resistance, a group of rebels who fought against the Zorathians. They were the ones who hid the ring, to keep it out of their hands. Elliot's eyes widened. "Do you think they're still out there?" Mira nodded. "If we can find them, they might be able to help us." But before they could make any progress, the bunker's door was blown off its hinges, and a group of Zorathians stormed in. Elliot and Mira barely had time to react before they were surrounded. "Give us the ring," one of the Zorathians demanded, its voice cold and mechanical. Elliot's heart pounded as he glanced at Mira. "What do we do?" Myra's eyes were steely as she reached into her bag and pulled out the ring. "We fight back," she said, slipping it onto her finger. The moment Mira put on the ring, the air around her seemed to crackle with energy. The Zorathians hesitated, their glowing eyes narrowing as they took a step back. But Mira didn't give them a chance to react. She raised her hand, and a beam of light shot from the ring, engulfing the Zorathians in a blinding flash. When the light faded, the Zorathians were gone, vaporized into nothingness. Elliot stared at Mira, his mouth hanging open. What just happened?" Mira looked down at the ring, her expression a mix of awe and fear. "The ring, it's more powerful than I realized. But using it comes at a cost." "What kind of cost?" Elliot asked, his voice trembling. Mira didn't answer. Instead, she collapsed to the ground, the ring slipping from her finger. Elliot rushed to her side, his heart pounding. "Mira. Are you okay?" Myra's breathing was shallow, and her skin was pale. "The ring, it drains the user's energy. I can't use it again." Elliot's mind raced. If they couldn't use the ring, they had no way to fight the Zorathians. But then he remembered what Mira had said about the resistance. "We need to find them," he said, his voice firm. "They're our only hope." With Myra's help, Elliot managed to get her back on her feet, and they set out to find the resistance. It wasn't easy, the Zorathians were everywhere, and the ring's power had drawn their attention. But after days of searching, they finally found what they were looking for. The resistance was a small but determined group of humans and aliens who had banded together to fight the Zorathians. They were led by a woman named Kayla, a fierce warrior with a deep hatred for the Zorathians and their tyranny. "We've been waiting for someone like you," Kayla said when Elliot and Mira explained their situation. "Someone who can wield the ring." "But I can't," Mira said, her voice weak. "It's too dangerous." Kayla's eyes narrowed. "Then we'll find another way. But we can't let the Zorathians win." In the end, it was Elliot who made the decision. He put on the ring, feeling its power surge through him. He knew the risks, but he also knew that someone had to stop the Zorathians. With the resistance by his side, he led the charge against the Zorathians, using the ring to destroy their ships and their armies. The battle was fierce, and the cost was high. But in the end, the Zorathians were defeated, and the ring was safely hidden away once more. As the dust settled, Elliot looked out over the battlefield, his heart heavy but hopeful. The ring was a weapon of unimaginable power, but it was also a reminder of the resilience of those who fought to protect what they loved. And for the first time in a long time, Elliot felt like he had found his place in the universe.